Alright guys, so in today's video I'm going to be discussing the price of Bitcoin and where I see this market moving in the next couple of months. I'm going to be going over this on the macro point of view. So whatever I'm saying now has a 1 to 2 months period before it actually plays out. So I need you to keep that in mind. So if you're excited for what I'm about to share, make sure you smash the like button, subscribe, follow, and do all that nice stuff. Alright, so let's get into the video. So the first thing I'm going to be looking at is the Bitcoin dominance chart. Let me share my screen with you very briefly. Right, so this is the Bitcoin dominance chart, and as you can see very clearly, we've been trending up for a bit. Those who have been following know that I've been watching this dominance charts for a very long time now. I've been following this for a very long time, and this is all the way from October of 2022, which I believe December of 2022 actually, which I believe was the start of the Bitcoin rally, the bull run basically. All the way from here up until now is where this price Bitcoin dominance has been dominating the market, so to speak. The more Bitcoin dominance moves, the more it gains faster against altcoins. This is why we saw Bitcoin do something like 500-600%, while altcoins were struggling to do even 200%. It's because of this dominance chart. So if we're in a situation where we have Bitcoin dominance dropping, we're going to see a lot of altcoins exploding. Right now, Bitcoin dominance is at about 60%, which is very, very interesting. But if we see a breakdown below this trend line, we could see Bitcoin dominance dropping as low as 50%. But let's go back to check what happened in the last cycle. So first of all, we need to admit to ourselves that this cycle is a whole lot more different from the other cycles that we've experienced, and this is significantly because of institutions. There are big players in the game now. We have BlackRock, we have Vanguard, we have all these big asset management companies that are coming to dominate. So they are not going to play your game. They're going to play it the way they play it in order to dominate the market. So while that is in mind, if you look very closely, you see that even if we go all the way back to 2016 here, the first altcoin season we experienced was when Ethereum came in, I think. So about 2017. So about 2016, 2017, you can see the huge dump all the way from about 96% dominance from Bitcoin all the way down to 36% when Ethereum was exploding in price. This was when a majority of people like me came into crypto, and I basically came into crypto at the top of the bull run. I keep saying this, and this is because of inexperience. Basically, I came in at the top and watched my money go down. So that is why ever since then I've been observing this thing properly, so I don't make the same mistakes again. But basically, for that to happen, it took about 224 days after the Bitcoin halving event occurred. Now, all of these white lines here are a representation of Bitcoin halving events. Now, in the next cycle, we had the same thing. After the halving event, 224 days, and Bitcoin dominance dropped significantly, right? Which also led to altcoin season. Yeah. So right now, we had something similar occur in this cycle. 224 days, and Bitcoin dominance only dropped to 54%. Not what a lot of people were expecting, because altcoins were supposed to rally right after that. But that did not happen, unfortunately. Instead, Bitcoin dominance began to rise, and we saw a serious market correction. And ever since then, we've kept on holding this trend line significantly. So now we are having a break below the trend line again, and we are seeing Bitcoin dominance at 60%, all the way from 66% now to 60%. So what is the probability of this not being a fake out, and is it going to continue dropping? Because if you're interested in altcoins, you want to see Bitcoin dominance drop significantly. So what are the probabilities? Let's look at our confluences. So looking at this here, we have this stochastic RSI, which I always like to look at. And as you can see here, the stochastic RSI is quite low. It's quite low in the sense that it's looking like we don't really have much room to drop further before a correction. That's what it looks like on the weekly time frame. And if for any reason the stochastic RSI continues to reverse to the upside, this candlestick will end up being a fake out, and we only have today, which is Sunday, for us to know whether this is going to play out or not. But if we have this, any sort of reversal back above this trend line and then we start going up, we can literally kiss altcoin season goodbye for a while, literally, because this will mean that this support level is holding, and we don't want that kind of situation if we want to experience altcoin season. So I want to point out all the scenarios in which this has happened before. All right, so real quick, I just pointed out all the situations which we've experienced this stochastic RSI, getting as low as this. So let's start from all the way back before the halving event in the last cycle. We had this huge reversal here, but this dominance chart only moved by about 7%, so nothing really significant like that. And if we continue and look at the next one, which was all the way here, we had dominance charts move from about 25%, causing probably a reversal in the entire crypto market. Then the next one we had here was all the way here to here, which is 21%. Huge reversal in the market as well. And if we're counting this one as well, we're looking at a 21% as well. If we're counting this one was one that started the entire bull run. Yeah, so you can see this here. This was a major reversal move, and in Bitcoin dominance trending harder against altcoins. So looking at something like this, I think it's very important to pay attention to it. Basically, the best case scenario for Bitcoin dominance right now is to experience a double bottom, which will still lead to a reversal anyway, but that's the best case scenario. And a double bottom is very similar to what happened here. We're going to be comparing it to this particular period here. You can see we had one bottom here, but the price wasn't able to correct it significantly. Then we had another bottom, but by the time we were printing the second bottom, the prices were, dominance chart was plummeting really hard. So that's what we want to experience. We want to experience a double bottom at this point. Now, if we can get Bitcoin dominance to do that, we are surely going to get to about 50% on the range. And why I'm looking at 50% mostly is because of this is the level where we had the significant breakout on the dominance chart. So another thing that makes me a little bit optimistic is because of things like the 1 month time frame. So let's check that out. Let me get rid of all this first. All right, so let's go to the 1 month time frame. Now, on the 1 month time frame, we also have our stochastic RSI pointing in the downwards direction. Look at this here. This was exactly what happened in the last cycle as well. We had a double top though. But you see what it led to? It led to a significant drop in Bitcoin dominance right after getting this reversal at this same level where we are right now. So that's another thing to pay attention to. But I think we still have a lot more move, given that the month is literally just starting. So if we are going to trend all the way down as low as here before the reversal came in, it could lead us to 50%. So but we have enough momentum to push prices a lot lower, which is why I'm believing that we're going to get a double bottom on the weekly stochastic RSI. A little bit of opium for altcoins older, but this is what we want to see if we're going to see altcoins rally significantly. And if we look at something like Ethereum, you can see very clearly that Bitcoin has basically been dominating the entire chart. Look at the Ethereum chart. All the way since the top of the last cycle, we've not seen a lot of altcoins experiencing all-time highs, unlike Bitcoin. So right now we are just seeing Ethereum approaching all-time highs. It has not gotten there yet. The all-time high is around 4,800, and right now it's just about 4,200. So it's very close, and I think it's going to set it significantly. And this would be the level to watch out for here, about $6,000 for Ethereum, and maybe $7,000. I don't like giving price prediction, but that's my price prediction for Ethereum: $7,000 at the very least. So if you're buying Ethereum now, you could be looking at maybe 60-70% gain on your investments. Of course, it's not financial advice. I'm just playing with the charts. So let's look at something like let's go to the Bitcoin charts actually. Now there's a particular Bitcoin chart that I want to show you. I don't know if I've shown you guys before, but I've posted about it on TikTok. Right. So if you look very closely here, you see that Bitcoin is actually experiencing diminishing returns. Yeah. And it's very evident when you look at it. All the way, this is the entire Bitcoin cycle lifespan. Like from the beginning of Bitcoin, this is it. So this goes all the way back to 2009. So as you can see here, right from $2 all the way to $1,200, Bitcoin gained by 59,000%. This is from the last. This is from 4 cycles ago. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, 4 cycles ago, Bitcoin got 59,000% from the bottom of the market to the top of the market, and the next cycle after that, we had Bitcoin go from $180 to about $18,000 or $19,000, and that was about 10,000% in move. You can see it very clearly, 10,000%. And last cycle, which is the most recent cycle, we had about 1,900% Bitcoin moving from $3,000 all the way to $69,000. Yeah, so that's about 1,900%, basically 2,000% actually. Yeah, 2,018%. And then we had this cycle, Bitcoin has done a total of about 500% so far. No, it's more than that, 700% so far, and we are projecting that the highest point is going to get to is about 900%, because this is the top of the curve. So you look at this curve marks the entire touch point that Bitcoin has experienced in the entirety of its lifespan. Each touch here led to a bear market. So if we are going to get a touch here right at the end of the cycle, this puts Bitcoin at around $148,000, and that's crazy. But it's not really crazy for someone who is investing in the markets, because from where we are right now, 118,000 to that point, it's just about 25%. It's not that significant, except 25% is a lot to you. If that's a lot to you, then by all means you can catch it, but it's not really a lot. This is why I'm telling people that if you're investing in crypto right now, you should probably keep in mind that we are approaching the end of the cycle, and there is not a lot of move for Bitcoin to move significantly, my opinion, which you obviously don't need to pay attention to. But just looking at this chart here, I think it's quite interesting to see. This data here is quite interesting to see and observe, because it's there for us to analyze. The only issue right now that I'm having with this Bitcoin chart is what I'm about to show you, which is this stochastic RSI that just experienced a double top. Now, each time we've experienced, maybe not each time, but whenever we experience a double top on Bitcoin dominance charts, it's not very, very good. You know why? Because it means that momentum is pushing to the downside. And if you go all the way here to the top of this cycle here, you can see we had this top here, and then we had this another top here. And you can see it literally led to the bear market. But, it's not playing out the same way, or it has not started playing out the same way. Yes, that's a better word to say. It has not started playing out the same way, but I don't think this is something that we want to ignore. I think these are the things to watch out for on Bitcoin, especially on the 1 week time frame. But that's for Bitcoin. Altcoins still look super strong. But if we also pull up something like the MACD. Now, if we look at Bitcoin on the MACD, you can see something very, very scary. Yeah. And now this is a very, very interesting thing to pay attention to. Look at the MACD here. This was the one of the tops. I think this was in the top. Yeah, this was one of the tops. This was the last 2 cycles when Bitcoin got to $19,000, and you can see this MACD here. The MACD did not go too significantly high. Look at it. It just ended at about 2,400 points basically, and the next cycle after that, it got as high as 11,000 points. And then the next cycle, which is the one we are in right now, we are sitting around 18,000. Is this 18,018? I can't even see that. Yeah. We are sitting at 18,000 points. So a reversal at this point would make a lot of sense. Something like what happened at this point, this consolidation period. And this consolidation period took about 214 days. 214 days is about how many days? Is about how many months? That's about two. This 214 is about 7 to 6 months, basically. So if we're looking at 7 to 6 months on this, assuming it plays out like this again, we'll be looking at March of 2026. Now, do I think that's going to happen? Not necessarily. If we're calculating all the way from here, which is the inauguration period, we're looking at a total of 304 days, which is about the entire year. And right now, we had the inauguration as well around that period. So 304 days puts us at November as well. So it's possible that November could be the period for a reversal for Bitcoin. I know this is what the cycle predicts, but you never can tell how to play out. But I think it's quite interesting to watch. So if this happens, we could see Bitcoin getting to about $150,000, just like I said, for price targets. Now let's go to a much more recent chart, which is something like the 1 day time frame. Now on the 1 day time frame, you can see very clearly that I'm in a Bitcoin long position, which I entered around 116k, and I'm projecting that it gets as high as 123. If we're looking at things like this stochastic RSI and the MACD as well, you can see we definitely have enough momentum to make that happen, especially by the end of today. When we get this MACD cross, it could lead to a bullish move moving up until next week. That's on the daily time frame, and we have this liquidity here to get rid of at 122. So if Bitcoin clears that liquidity, then we could get a little bit of a retracement as seen in the Bitcoin dominance, or as expected in the Bitcoin dominance charts. But if that should happen next week, but if Bitcoin should approach these levels next week, then you should probably be expecting that altcoins will be exploding more crazily. So Bitcoin has been trending within this range, and I was actually projecting that it was going to break below this trend line. And as a matter of fact, I had my trend line drawn like this. That's a shorter trend line. I had it drawn like this, projecting that once we break below here, we will be getting a little bit of much more downside price action. But that did not happen, and prices actually continue to the upside. So naturally, the trend line should be adjusted because it has already been invalidated, and definitely a breach below the resistance trend line here is also another indication that it's probably going to continue to the upside, and liquidity will be taken out, especially this one here. It's probably going to be taken out, and that's what will push it to attain 123k. As much as this analysis sounds very bullish, I should let you know that trading is not an easy game. It is a simple task when you understand it, but it is not easy to do because you need to have your mindset in check at all times. But if you're sports trading, you don't really have anything to worry about. If you're invested and you hold some projects, you just have to wait until the entire thing ends. However, what I'd like to point out is that once Bitcoin starts approaching the oversold territory of this stochastic RSI on the daily time frame, it's then going to start aligning with the 1 week time frame, and that would be an issue because it could lead to an actual break of this trend line, assuming Bitcoin does not break above 123k. But if Bitcoin can break above 123k, then this trend line may just keep holding as a support level before it eventually breaks. But I believe that if this trend line breaks, the current trend line that we have now, if this trend line breaks, this one that has been holding us all the way from 76k, if it breaks for any reason, we're going to have Bitcoin drop back to retest the next available trend line. And this next available trend line is the one that has been holding Bitcoin since the beginning of the bull run. in 2022. So this trend line here must not be breached if you want to see Bitcoin continue going upwards. But I believe at some point it's going to be breached and we're going to see prices drop to probably $57,000. Probably. It's a game of probabilities, okay? So that's what I'm seeing for the price of Bitcoin right now in the short term. If I want to look at something like the 4-hour time frame, there's nothing really much to pay attention to here except the fact that we are likely going to continue upwards. Look at this here. We already had this stochastic RSI cross, and we have just about this liquidity to sweep out. We have enough momentum to do that, which I think we would not struggle with it. That's how I'm saying it anyway. So yeah, the ability to hold your positions even when things are looking crazy is what makes you a good trader, not the short term moves. Yeah, I think the 4-hour is okay, but I don't really like looking at something like the 1 hour. But on the 1 hour, it's just a little bit here and there. We could even have a retracement back to test this trend line here and then go upwards as well. So a lot of things can happen, but let's stick to the 4-hour for the smallest time frame for Bitcoin. So this is basically what I have for the price of Bitcoin. If you want to see all the trades that I'm taking, you should definitely join my private group or join my general group, because I'm posting trade calls there more now these days. So if you enjoyed this video, make sure to smash the like button, subscribe, share, and do all that nice stuff. I will see you in the next video, and I promise to be more consistent now. I'm going to be talking about altcoins and some projects that I'm invested in, and just looking at the price action and price predictions as well. All right, I'll see you in the next video. Bye.